Miss one rule in 2025, and your flight could cost way more than you planned. I'm talking surprise fees, boarding drama, and getting kicked off over socks. The airlines? They've changed the game. Delta, United, American, even Southwest. And if you're not caught up, you're the one paying for it. But give me a few minutes and I'll walk you through the stuff they don't announce at the gate. What's changed, what to prep for, and how to avoid those "why is this happening to me" airport moments. Let's make sure your next flight goes smoother and cheaper than your last. You show up at the airport thinking check-in's going to be the same as always. But instead of a regular kiosk, there's this sleek machine silently waiting to scan your face. No buttons, no explanation, just you, your reflection, and the subtle panic of not knowing where to tap. That's what Delta and American are rolling out at major hubs like Atlanta and Dallas-Fort Worth. And while it's lightning fast when you know how to use it, it turns into a guessing game for everyone else. I've watched travelers breeze through in seconds, and I've watched others freeze, waving IDs at a camera that doesn't want anything but a face. I was that guy once. Just me, squinting at the screen like it owed me instructions, until a staff member leaned in and whispered, "Just stand still." Meanwhile, United now lets you check in 48 hours before departure, not just 24, which gives you a better shot at picking a decent seat before the rush. Southwest? Still running on the 24-hour clock, and you can check in via their app or website. Just don't forget, that timing window is sacred. Miss it, and it's middle seat purgatory. Here's how to avoid being that confused statue at the kiosk. Download the Airlines app before you even pack your toothbrush. Some carriers are phasing out printed boarding passes altogether, and if you're flying out of a major airport, give yourself time. 2 hours minimum. Face scanners move fast, but not if you're fumbling with your phone while people pile up behind you. Facial recognition check-in is the future. It's smooth, it's slick, and if you're ready for it, it actually works like magic. If not, it's a mini panic attack in public. There's one in-flight perk that used to feel like a luxury, but now it's quietly become the norm. And honestly, kinda amazing. You can text your mom, "I'm alive," from 35,000 feet without paying a single cent for Wi-Fi. And yes, she'll still reply with, "Okay, bring a jacket." Delta, United, and American have all jumped on the free messaging train through iMessage, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger. Just make sure those apps are already installed. Trying to download them midair is like trying to stream Netflix through a straw. JetBlue's still the MVP for in-flight internet. High speed, totally free, even in economy. You can scroll, stream, or send memes at cruising altitude. It's basically a coffee shop with seatbelts. United tosses in free Wi-Fi if you're a T-Mobile customer. Nice perk. While others still charge $8 to $10 for full access. Americans rolling out Intelsat upgrades, finally getting their older planes up to speed. Delta? As of April 2025, they've wrapped free Wi-Fi across all domestic and most transatlantic routes, including Europe, Israel, and West Africa. They're now working on regional jets and some South America routes. You'll also start seeing something called dual network systems on newer jets like the A321neo and A350-1000. What that means for you: fewer disconnects, smoother streaming, and finally, fewer moments of staring at a spinning load icon. And here's the feature I didn't know I needed until I had it: Bluetooth support. Delta and United are adding it to newer planes, so you can pair your own earbuds directly to the seatback screen. No more untangling cheap airline headphones or watching movies in silence because your jack didn't work. Entertainment's evolving too. Delta Sync now includes puzzles, meditation sessions, even a few games. United added a Do Not Disturb toggle, so if you're trying to sleep through snack service, you won't get poked. Southwest sneaking in mini games on short routes. Nothing fancy, but still better than counting clouds. Bottom line, in-flight tech finally feels like it belongs in 2025. Just don't forget your charger, or all this magic ends at 7% battery somewhere over Kansas. So yes, in-flight tech is getting smarter. But one part still feels completely stuck in the past: charging your phone. You're counting on your phone for everything. boarding pass, rideshare, flight updates, and then the battery hits single digits at 30,000 feet. And guess what? On a lot of older planes, like American 737-800s or most of Southwest's fleet, there are only 2 outlets for every 3 seats. If one's broken, and that happens a lot, you're out of luck. I've literally watched people trade off charging time like they were negotiating a peace treaty. Even the USB ports are dated. Most planes still use USB-A, which means if you've got a newer phone with a USB-C cable, it's useless unless you brought an adapter. Sure, United's added USB-C on their newer 787s, but unless you're flying long haul, chances are you won't see one. I made this mistake once, coast-to-coast flight, phone at 5%, and the only thing I had was a USB-C cable. No adapter, no working outlet. My phone died somewhere over Kansas, and I had no idea if my ride was still waiting when we landed. Here's how to avoid that. Pack a cheap USB-A to USB-C adapter. They're small and cost maybe $5. Better yet, bring a power bank under 100 watt-hours. TSA's totally fine with it, and it'll save you from the charger shuffle. You can also check your plane's seat map in advance using the Airlines app or a site like Seat Guru to know if you even have an outlet. In-flight tech has come a long way, but when it comes to staying charged, you've still got to plan ahead. Picking a seat used to be simple. Aisle for legroom, window for naps, middle seat if you were too slow. Now, it's a miniature pricing maze, and the airlines are holding the cheat codes. Let's start with United and American. If you booked basic economy, you're not picking anything. The system assigns you a leftover seat at check-in, usually right between 2 strangers who've already claimed the armrests. Want to change it? Be ready to shell out $15 to $50 depending on where you're flying, and how desperate you are to not be next to the bathroom. Delta used to be more generous, but as of 2024, they've joined the game. Basic economy passengers no longer get to pick seats during check-in. Didn't pay for a seat when booking? You'll find out where you're sitting at the gate, and cross your fingers it's not 34B. Advanced seat selection now runs about $19 to $39 for standard spots. Want an exit row or front section? That's easily $50 or more. Suddenly that cheap fare isn't so cheap anymore. There's one silver lining. United's app now lets you set a preferred seat type, window, aisle, or exit row. If something better opens up after booking, it'll automatically move you there. Free of charge. Small win. Southwest, they're still running open seating for now. No assigned seats. You check in exactly 24 hours before the flight and hope you land an A-group boarding pass. Miss that window by even a minute, and all that's left might be a middle seat between 2 strangers already claiming the armrests. Later in 2025, though, they'll start phasing in assigned seating, so enjoy the controlled chaos while it lasts. And if you're flying with kids under 13, the FAA requires airlines to seat families together. No extra charge. Doesn't mean the best seats, but at least no one's kid ends up row 19 while you're stuck in 32F. How do you win the seat game? Start by checking the seat map when you book. Skip anything near the galley or bathrooms unless you like foot traffic and flushing sounds. Exit rows are gold for legroom, but cost you. Tight connection? Sit near the front. Need to sleep? Window seat left side of the plane, away from the wing if possible. And whatever you do, don't leave it to chance. Seat selection isn't a perk anymore, it's a product. Let's talk about the way airlines are charging you now, because they're not just adding fees, they're blending them into the experience so smoothly, most people don't even notice until it's too late. Take Delta, for example. On flights under 900 miles, those free snacks you used to get, gone. It's now $10 to $15 for a sandwich, and not the kind you'd brag about. United and American have followed suit. $3 for disposable headphones, $5 for a thin blanket, and up to $12 for snack boxes that used to come standard with your seat. This isn't just a budget airline thing anymore. In 2025, it's across the board. No matter the route, no matter the carrier, extras now come with a price tag. Southwest has been the exception. As of April 2025, they still offer complimentary water, crackers, and soft drinks. But starting May 28th, if you're flying on their new basic fare, some of those perks might be going behind a paywall too. Nothing official yet, but the direction's clear. And here's something that trips people up. You can't always pay on board like you used to. Delta and United are now fully cashless, and in many cases, even card swipes are out. They're shifting to app-only payments. So if you haven't downloaded the Airlines app or linked a payment method in advance, you might go the whole flight without even being able to buy water. Quick tip, on Delta, you can pre-order snacks during booking and get 20% off. It's simple, and yes, it works. Bottom line, bring your own snacks. Install the Airline app ahead of time, and don't assume anything's included unless you've double-checked. What used to be complimentary is now carefully itemized. Packing smart isn't optional anymore. It's survival. Especially in 2025, when airlines are treating overhead bin space like beachfront real estate. Let's start with United. If you're flying basic economy, forget the roller bag. You're allowed one personal item that fits under the seat, and they mean it. Try bringing a carry-on to the gate. That'll be $65 for the bag, $25 for the handling. I watched a guy at LAX last month argue his way into a $65 fee because he didn't read the fine print. American still allows one carry-on and one personal item, even with basic economy. But since late 2024, they've started enforcing size limits a lot more strictly, especially at the gate. If your bag's too big or doesn't fit the sizer, expect a $40 fee on the spot. And if you hold up the line trying to argue, some agents won't hesitate to tack on an extra penalty. It's rare, but it happens. Delta's been the friendlier option for years, and that's still mostly true. Basic economy passengers get a carry-on and a personal item. But don't get too comfortable. Since early 2024, they've quietly stepped up enforcement at major airports like ATL and JFK. A dangling jacket? A water bottle clipped to your backpack? If it's not inside your bag, they'll count it as an extra item, and you'll either check it or repack on the spot. I've seen it happen in real time. People on the floor at the gate, frantically playing luggage Tetris. Now Southwest, the airline that made bags fly free famous. As of April 2025, they still give you 2 checked bags, a carry-on, and a personal item, even on the cheapest fares. But that all changes on May 28th, when their new basic tier takes off. For tickets bought on or after that date, expect fewer bag perks unless you're flying Business Select or A-List. No final word on the exact limits yet, but all signs point to carry-on restrictions and checked bag fees finally landing at Southwest. End of an era. And if you're heading to Canada, Air Canada now limits basic economy passengers to just one personal item. No carry-on. That policy kicked in January 2025, and I've already seen it catch travelers off guard at Toronto Pearson. A family had to unpack everything in front of a growing line of very impatient flyers. Moral of the story? Don't assume the rules are the same across airlines, or even the same as last year. Read your fare details, double-check the baggage policy, and measure your bags. Overhead bins are no longer a courtesy, they're a commodity. And gate agents? They're not cutting slack anymore. They're enforcing policy like it's gospel. So pack smart, zip tight, and if you're flying basic economy in 2025, play by the rules or pay for the reminder. You might think what you wear to the airport is nobody's business. But in 2025, that tank top or barefoot stroll to the gate might be the reason you don't get on the plane. Technically, airline dress codes have always existed, tucked away in the fine print most people never read. But after a string of awkward headlines in 2024, gate agents are actually being told to enforce them. And yes, it's happening more than you'd think. Let's start with the basics. American, United, and Delta have long had no bare feet rules. Most of the time, no one says anything, but show up barefoot, even just hanging out at the gate, and you could get turned away. A guy flying United out of LAX last summer found that out the hard way. No shoes, no flight. But it's not just about footwear. Inappropriate or disruptive clothing, another vague catch-all, has started raising more red flags. In January 2024, a Delta passenger got pulled aside for wearing a top considered too revealing, and the whole thing went viral. A few months later, American Airlines denied boarding to a woman in Dallas over a slogan t-shirt that the gate agent flagged as offensive. The rules haven't changed, but how they're applied in 2025? totally different. Agents are being trained to step in if anything might make fellow passengers uncomfortable. That's a gray zone, and that's exactly what makes it risky. Here's the smart move. Pack a backup. A simple t-shirt and some comfy slip-ons take no space and could save your trip. You don't need to dress like you're heading to brunch with your boss, but clean, non-flashy, and comfortable? That's the sweet spot. Because in 2025, dress codes aren't just a dusty policy, they're a boarding pass condition. Most people get through just fine, but the few who don't, they usually never saw it coming. Better to be slightly overdressed than stuck at the gate debating your outfit with someone holding a scanner. There's something airlines aren't shouting from the rooftops, but travelers are learning the hard way. Theft in the sky is real, and it's getting bolder. We're talking organized crime rings flying on the same routes as you. Early morning departures, overnight hauls, packed red eyes where the lights go dim and the cabin feels half asleep. That's their sweet spot. Everyone's groggy, dozing off, headphones in, and that's when the quiet hands get to work. So here's what you do. First, where you store your bag matters. Everyone says to place it under the seat in front of you. And sure, that's what the rules say for takeoff and landing. But once you're cruising at 35,000 feet, pull it back, nestle it behind your ankles. Now, anyone who wants to unzip that bag has to physically reach around your legs. Not exactly subtle. Second, zip your stuff and clip it shut. Carabiners, zip ties, even a twist of wire can slow down quick fingers. Most thefts aren't elaborate. They're crimes of opportunity. Make your bag harder to open, and chances are they'll move on to someone else. Third, don't put valuables in the seat back pocket. I know it's tempting. You want your phone, passport, earbuds within reach. But that little pocket, it's like leaving your wallet on a cafe table and walking away. You sleep, they swipe, and by the time you land, the damage is done. Instead, keep essentials zipped in a jacket pocket or inside your personal bag. Something that stays close. Something that can't disappear without you noticing. And just when you think the risk ends after landing, think again. Some thefts don't happen mid-flight. They happen after, when the plane's empty and employees sweep through the cabin. CNN uncovered rings of airline workers, cleaners, mechanics, even supervisors, scouring seatbacks and overhead bins for anything left behind. Tablets, phones, passports, jewelry, gone in seconds. So before you step into the aisle, take 5 seconds. Make sure you've got your phone, iPad, passport, everything. One last glance could save you from a missing item report and a whole lot of regret. So yeah, air travel in 2025 isn't harder, it's just sneakier. The rules are there, but they're buried. And the fees, they're waiting for you to slip up. But now you know. You've got the cheat sheet. Download the apps before takeoff. Check your baggage allowance twice. And whatever you do, don't show up barefoot with a dead phone and a giant carry-on on a basic economy ticket. If this helped you dodge even one tiny travel disaster, give it a like, hit subscribe, and send it to someone you know who always gets busted at the gate. Because flying smart doesn't take much. Just the right info before you board.